Just in time for the holiday season, Chessnut has sent me a set of the new regular weighted pieces for the Chessnut Pro. As you can see, those are lined up here in the back. And the ones that came with the set in the box are grouped right here in the front. And just so everyone knows right up front here, Chessnut also has a very enhanced set of pieces that goes to the Chessnut Air as well. And right now, I think, believing through Christmas, they're doing 15% off. So all you have to do is click my link in the description. You don't even need to put in a code, add your item to your cart, and you will automatically see the discount, and the code will be automatically added. All right, so now in this video here, this is going to be a comparison between the updated set and the set that originally came with the set. There's a weight difference, and there is a refinement difference. The pieces are a bit more refined and they weigh more. So with that said, let's go right ahead and jump right in. Let's turn the scale on here. We're going to begin with the white rook. This here is the old white rook. That weighs 16.4 grams. And the new white rook, the updated version, weighs a whopping 23 grams. All right, so now let's take a look at these side by side here. So if you just hold these in my hand here, as you can see right off, there's right here, there's a much bigger gap and more refined right here than it is, say, right here. For example, this band here is wider here. There's, I guess, a double ring around this part here. I should know my anatomy of chess pieces, but anyway, there's two rings here versus one. And it's just overall, just a bit more refined, and it weighs more, right? Let's move on to the white knight. This is the old white knight, weighing in at 18.5 grams. The new white knight is weighing in at 26.1 grams. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So put these pieces side by side immediately. You can see the difference in the facial structures here. Quite more refined. The holes are a bit more pronounced here and look a little bit more deliberate versus somewhat random here. The teeth, everything, the mane, everything, even the base looks a bit more rounded here than it does here. And well, while these pieces here are serviceable and are nice pieces, these definitely are an upgrade for sure. Let's move right on to the queen. The old queen is here, 22 grams, and the new queen weighs 32.5 grams. Wow, that's pretty amazing. All right, so now we look at them side by side. You can see up here, I guess this right here is the tiara or the crown. That's a little bit more pointed than this one right here. So that's also the style. They both look nice to me. This bead here on the top seems a bit more just refined on the bottom part here compared to this one. And just looking at the rings, there's just a little difference here in terms of this base pedestal here, if you will, versus this one. They both look nice. It's just a personal preference, but definitely the weight has been upgraded in that piece for sure. Here's the white bishop. That weighs 14 grams. And then that's the old white bishop. Now the new one weighs 25 grams. Wow. That's amazing. Now that's pretty significant. Now looking at the miter right off, let me see if I can get this into focus here. If we look at the miter right here, this miter is definitely wider cut here than this one here. And the little, I don't know what you call this. This comes up, is raised up a little bit versus this one is right on the top. So that's a little bit more artistic, if you will. It's definitely wider here, and the rings here are a little bit more pronounced versus this one here. And overall, again, both nice looking pieces, but definitely the weight is what they're, what is going to be the, I guess, the main star to show here. But again, these pieces definitely are a bit more refined in terms of the craftsmanship, 100%. Here's the king. Here's the big boy. King in the old set weighs 25 25.8 grams. In the new set, the king weighs 34.5 grams. Okay. Now looking at that, and let's see here. This one, the cross on the king's head is a bit more refined over here than here, and plus you got another little added addition of this little piece on top. Right here, the ring around the bottom of the cross is much more refined than it is here, and definitely the rings here are a little bit more closer than spread out over here, but that may not make a difference. But overall, and even here, like this is a little, the transition of cut here is a little bit better than it is here, but overall still nice piece, but definitely, oh, and it's more rounded right here. You see right here on this piece here, I don't know if you can see that, well, it's more rounded right here versus straight here. Well, that's maybe, and that's also a personal preference. Some people may like this one better. Some people may like this a bit better, but either way, definitely a commendable effort what's going on here with these new pieces. Here's the old white pawn, comes in at a puny 7.1 grams, and the new white pawn weighs 13, so almost double, 13.1 grams. And the pawns, again, the one thing I would say about the pawns right off, the base on the new pawn is a bit wider than this one. Not a whole lot, but just a bit. The ball is smaller on the new one than it is in the old one. That may be more aesthetically pleasing when you set it up on the board. And it's more rounded here versus coming down in a sort of cone-like shape here. And at the base, it's a bit different. Again, both nice looking pawns, but probably this one may look better overall because it just reduces the size of the pawn on the board, so it'll look more like a pawn, I guess, so to speak. But can't go wrong with either one. All right, so moving on to the black set. Maybe it's not going to be much difference here, but just for the sake of science, we are going to check this out. The old black rook weighs 17.8 grams, and the new black rook weighs 24.1 grams. Good size, good amount. Oh, this is a big difference in the pieces. Now, the coloration. Now, I do like that these pieces here are darker than the old pieces. I personally like to have darker black pieces that are much, much darker than the black squares that are on the board for contrast purposes. So I like these better just because of that. I mean, they're both nice looking pieces. I mean, again, this here is a bit better here at the top of the crown versus this piece here, and just got double rings here, and here's a bit different here than it is here. For example, let's check that. Let me see something here. That's the old white rook. Let me see. Where's that new white rook at? Okay, so just comparing that one and that one, it's a little like this line here is a little different than here. And that could just be to manufacturing variation. But either way, both nice looking pieces, and definitely weight has been added. Let's go on to the knight. Here's the old black knight, 25.8 grams. And the new black knight is 28.7 grams. So not a whole lot of difference there. But again, any weight is better than none. And definitely the refinements that we saw with the white knight is definitely here in terms of the face, the eye, the holes here in the nostrils are a bit more refined than they are over here. The mane and on down on the side to the, I guess these are the muscle indentations. So definitely an upgraded piece. All right, so now bishop. Here's the old bishop, which is 16 grams. And the new bishop is 24.9 grams. So there you have it. Again, everything's the same. The miter cut here is a bit wider than the miter cut here is on this one. This one here is a little bit more raised at the top. This button here is right on top. They both are aesthetically pleasing. This has a little bit bigger diameter. I think I did not point that out on the white one than it does here. But again, still both nice looking pieces. All right, so the old queen weighs 27 grams, and the new black queen weighs 33.7 grams. All right, and still the same differences here in terms of, I guess, the tiara and the size of the I guess diamond on the top, if you will. A little subtle differences here, and maybe looks like the old ones here. Base may be slightly wider than this one, but still, definitely more weight has been added. They definitely, has delivered in that way. The old Black King weighs 32.9 grams. The new Black King weighs 34 grams. Again, not a lot of difference there, but again, it's definitely been a little bit of weight. Definitely feels a bit different. I mean, it feels a bit different, but again, it also has been more refined in terms of the piece as well. And again, don't forget that there's also manufacturer variation as well. And I believe, I can't remember, but I feel like some of these pieces relative from black to white may be not exactly the same marginal spread between the old piece and the new piece. But again, manufacturer variation is what I believe what had happened here. So again, the same deal. The crown and the dot on the top looks different. It's more rounded here. And the old king base seems a bit wider here, and this comes a bit lower where it rounds off here than it does here. But either way, I think they're both still nice looking pieces. I definitely like the color change of the old pieces. I like the darker black. All right, last one. Here is the old black pawn, which is almost 9 grams. Again, I recall right, the old white pawn was about 7 grams. So again, that's almost a 2-gram difference. So again, that's what I'm telling you. In manufacturing, there is some variation with things like this. Let me weigh that again. 8.8 grams versus the new one is 15. So about the same as the other. It's about double the weight. So this is good. 15.4 grams. So there you have that. And again, the same deal. The base on the new one seems a bit wider. This little pedestal piece here is a little bit taller, more refined. The little, I guess, head to the pawn here is smaller on the new one than it is on the old one, and it's a little bit more rounded. So overall, what we could say here is that pieces have been upgraded in terms of weight. The refinements in terms of the workmanship, definitely they have done a lot of improvements, and especially in terms of the knight, the rook, and the king, particularly on the king's cross, and also the upgraded color where the black is a bit darker. So definitely, I think that these pieces are definitely worthy enough for you to take a look at if you own a Chessnut Pro. You definitely, especially right now, they're running this 15% discount. If you've been wanting something that weighs a little bit more, and if you like contrast like I do, a little, darker contrast for your black pieces, this set right here has been upgraded, and so therefore you should take a look at it.